upper bracket. In fact, an interesting note, all four of these teams are the teams with the lowest number of heroes drafted. Not a whole lot of diversity until maybe we come to this one. Falcons versus GAIMIN Gladiators, and Falcons pick up a hero that I was not expecting to see MR playing. They pick up a Tidehunter, Avery. Where did that come from?
I've actually been wondering where this hero is, because if you look at the offlane pool right now, this hero fits exactly what you want from that role. Big, beefy frontliner who does moderately well in lane, but can always do the ancient stacks really well, and then buys all the ores in the mid game. Great pipe carrier, great greaves buyer. You even have some like sneaky blade mail ags builds that can give you a bit more damage in there. His facets, I think, scale really well. It's just the laning phase is atrocious for this hero right now. And, you know, you're not going to pick this Tide over slaying like a Darkseer or Underlord in a premier game for those heroes. So I understand why we haven't seen it, but I feel like it's taken a bit longer than it should have for people to maybe try this hero, right? Especially in these games where a lot of those offlaners get banned, as what happened here for Amar down the stretch.
Yeah, and it's something that we have been talking about for Falcons is fixing some of Amar's pool. When Amar is really comfortable and they're just kind of like jamming whatever he is doing best with at the time, then Falcons seem to dominate. Dyrachyo slowed down by the blood grenade and the tree toss. Now the Shukuchi, he is dead. That's going to be first blood going over to Crit. The small bit of harassment that we had back and forth between the Wind Ranger and the Chen goes against GAIMIN Gladiators, and they lose their early first blood.
That is not a hero that should be giving up first blood. Here will sacrifice himself to get back to the lane faster. A lot of interesting dynamics between these two teams. I think they are two of the teams that are willing to play faster in this tournament, especially the, you know, that like 10 to 20 minute period where you're trying to assault these tier ones. Both teams really love taking early tier one towers, opening up the map. Both teams also really like stacking ancients. I think we've seen Crit and Tofu be two of the most active and consistent stackers over the course of the last 2 years. They really like using those ancients to accelerate their big offlane players, who are predominantly who they play around to force those objectives. And they're two of the teams with more aggressive carries. I think Dyrachyo and Skeeter are both carries that sometimes don't get as much love as they should for various reasons, but don't play that super hard carry role and are willing to play more with the team, take the early fights, risk their own network to push the team up as a whole. And I think it gives both these teams a lot of speed and the ability to sometimes just completely overcome opponents before they're ready to take the fights.
Looking it up, it looks like Falcons have done a bit more stacking. They're about in the middle of the field. GAIMIN Gladiators for this tournament are on the lower end. I'm going to have to assume it's just because the speed that they brought to the games, obviously. The faster the game ends, the less you're going to get stacks in, and they've had some extremely fast games. So for this tournament performance, they are a little bit on the lower end. But overall, definitely going to agree with you. Philosophy-wise, it does seem like these two teams shared that idea. One thing I started off with the Tidehunter, and I wanted to put focus on him, was the matchup. Obviously, the story going into this is that GAIMIN Gladiators 2-0'd the hell out of Falcons in the group stage. Now, they're both still here in the upper bracket, so no harm, no foul if you are Falcons, because, you know, okay, whatever. We lost that series, but we still ended up where we're supposed to be. But it's got to be, they got to be thinking about the speed that you're talking about, right? The tempo. And wouldn't Tidehunter be one of the better heroes to try and draw out the game and slow down the GAIMIN Gladiators ball that's going to be running at you with the Chen?
I think that's the idea. I mean, you had to pick something here that gives you some of that 5-on-5 presence, can give you an aura buyer for the rest of your draft, which is all damage. You did not want to go into these fights for Roshan without being able to play GAIMIN's game to some degree. I think the Tide can give you that. Just a question of, do you get there at the same pace that the Underlord can, who is a way more reliable laner, and you did have the counter pick to deal with if you are Falcons, right? You had to pick this Tidehunter blind. You already saw the TA who has a good matchup, so you knew the Tide's lane was not going to be as good as Ace's here, which maybe you're going to go back to some extra stacking for him. Maybe you're okay playing that game. Maybe you're okay giving up the first or even the second Roshan in this game if you're Falcons. But if they can pull ahead, they're going to be super happy here because, of course, I don't think GAIMIN are winning a lot of the ultra lates. Like, that's not where their strength lies. They've been a bit better at this tournament, but they're still looking to snowball with these Chen lineups. It's another interesting dynamic as this game progresses is what happens, or maybe the series as a whole, is what happens between these two fives. You have Chen and Ench already in this game one. These are both heroes both teams will play first pick, are super confident that they're strong for what they want to do. And yeah, I mean, these are old school summons heroes that have battled each other for centuries in a way.
I also think they're on the fitting side, right? I feel like Enchantress is more of a Falcons hero, and Chen is more of a Celery hero.
Yeah, I could agree with that slightly. I think the Enchantress gives you a bit more early roam potential and aggression, Wisdom Rune contest, things like that. The direct damage scaling is also way higher. You get Hurricane Pike, Grove Bow later, you're a beast. The Chen's going to give you more of that slower scaling build-up with the auras and hit a way stronger mid-game ball timing. His laning can also, I think, be sometimes stronger, depends on the matchups, but the early Saturn mana burn can be devastating for certain offlaners. So both these players super comfortable on these heroes, and both these heroes looking to do a lot for their teams here. Would not be surprised if either of these gets banned in these games 2 and 3, depending on which player has higher impact here.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're okay trading it out game 1. Okay, we can get one of these and match the other, but someone's going to have a better time.
I'm also very curious on the Tiny's performance, because we have been casting some crazy good Tiny performances, and I mean, you know my thoughts on it. I do not think teams should be giving this hero up lightly. And here, GAIMIN Gladiators bring a different idea to the table of dealing with the Tiny, a mid-Templar Assassin, which is doing well, 19-7, though the rotation from Crit seems to be causing him a little bit of annoyances here, trying to secure the water runes for the Tiny.
Man, missed the Melt Strike. Uncharacteristic from Quinn, as Skeeter feeling the pressure here. Will get healed up. Trying to keep this Ursa on lane, but Falcons overall struggling on this laning phase. They're just getting out CS'd very heavily between these 3 cores, which on paper is what you would expect. I mean, these are 3 cores that you are not going to have an easy time out CSing.
Celery slowed down to a crawl and might be able to get the kill. The extra armor is helping him out, but he will eventually die to Crit. So, yeah, they're getting the better of CS. Falcons do seem to have better opportunities for kills every once in a while to help offset that.
Mid has been a struggle for Malrine, and there's no stacks yet to kind of fall back on here, so just going to be continued lane domination from Quinn. It's going to set up the roam potential to mid as well. It's getting very low. Instant TP in from Chen for the bottle refill is just going to make things worse. Big pressure point on the map right now for Falcons. Neither of these supports really... I mean, the Enchantress can roam to mid, but you want to do it offensively, not defensively here. That's an awkward position for Snaking when his mid is this low on resources and still getting mana burned to add to it. Kind of just have to play the side lanes here.
This looks really rough, this new refraction against Avalanche. Avalanche just does not clear through the refraction at all. He threw an Avalanche and a toss, and the toss got blocked. The toss damage got blocked by the last refraction charge. So this, I mean, lane, we knew that was going to be rough, but I did not know that this interaction was that bad for the Tiny. Now, A's going to be body blocked up. Really good Falcons rotation from Crit. The body blocking on point from Snake.
I was just about to say that I think the best move Falcons can make is this Weaver rotation to top, because that Crit kill bottom got him the early urn. So now you have double charges on the urn, helps get you that extra kill. The bug comes through. Underlord is not great at killing it. In fact, Ace just didn't prioritize it, and it hit him quite hard at the end there. It's a nice little double kill in this top lane on an aggressive go on the Enchantress that did not pay off with that heal facet.
Quinn immediately trying to put the pressure on Malrine, but Crit is done roaming to top. We'll show up back to the mid lane to give Malrine just a little bit of backup here, see if they can get the sentry drop, so there's no TA traps that Malrine's going to have to contend with constantly.
Sentry pays for itself here with double trap kill, but CS tells the tale, right? Quinn has doubled up Malrine on this mid lane. Exactly what you want to see if you are GAIMIN. They love to play through this man, and they would love to play through this hero. Arguably been their best core hero for the last month or so.
Another little similarity between the 2 lineups, right? You have an Ursa and a TA, right? You have 2 core heroes that really want to be able to set the tempo of the game early by taking a fast Roshan. And the momentum gained off of the laning phase could be incredibly important to determine who gets that first Roshan and starts that cycle.
Snaking gonna smoke up around mid, looking for something. I'm not even really sure what he's looking for. There's no 8-minute power rune to spawn here. Kind of just roaming around. I think if you're Falcons, you really want to combine these 2 supports on one of these side lanes. Doesn't really matter which one. You have kill threat on either.
Toss back, rotation from behind. Skeeter very low though. Snaking.
It's a very late TP. Might still latch though.
Yeah, Malrine, he can hit the Avalanche and maybe go for the toss back. Oh, Crit's also here, so this is surely a dead Tofu.
I don't like this TP rotation, though. I think it should have been the Weaver, because now you're going to have to run back to mid with these heroes to defend.
Yeah,
like,
you pushed out on the power through as well, right?
Yeah, you gave this haste to Quinn. He has traps set up. He's defending the mid lane, which is getting assaulted by Chen creeps right now. A lot of tower damage done. And it gives some more presence here for GAIMIN to play aggressive if they want.
Another missed meld strike there. Quinn. Maybe a little rusty on the Templar Assassin.
I mean, they're going to push this in.
They are. Don't want to dive too heavily, though. Another round of refraction will help block some of that damage. And with the Chen creep getting traded back over, what the Enchantress, we're going to see that constantly. Chen and Enchantress are going to be sharing creeps throughout these little battles that happen.
Well, solid defense from Falcons. I thought they were going to lose a little bit more there, having to run all the way back, but rotated pretty quickly. They still have sentries around mid, getting rid of these traps, controlling the TA a little bit as Quinn continues to accelerate here. Only thing he's missing is the stacks, and quick double stack out from Tofu right on cue. I'll push him up a little bit. Still has that haste rune in the bottle, so Quinn very strong on the map right now as another smoke from Falcons. Really trying to use this tiny in the early game and going straight back to top. Like, nobody is there.
Yeah,
you have to push into the triangle or on this wave going in. I mean, the wave going in up here is really nice for Falcons.
Yeah, the lane ward to spot Ace as he pushes forward. Tofu behind him cannot save him from the crash landing damage that comes out from Maureen. Man, it's so much. Quinn's going to come in with his haste rune. Snaking's already taken so much damage that he had a ton of whiffs around him. But this haste rune, it's going to be deadly. Oh my god, did Maureen just throw Skeeter in like that? He gets the kill on Tofu, but it's a sacrificial lamb surely. As look at the body blocks from Snaking, man. This guy is on point with the micro today.
Skeeter definitely smiling about that as his 5 bails him out from the grave. No way to chase through that with that focus fire. Falcons get a nice exchange up top. Straight back in the mid. They would love to collect the Chen in this early game. And it won't get him.
Not quite. That's going to be an earned charge used.
Another power rune though. And again, you're rebuking this mid push from GAIMIN that they would love to fight around this TA in the traps.
Celery is still going to give it to him.
That's a big kill.
Now they will get the return kill. Looks like a Shikuchi's coming up, but Ace is there on the other side.
You take that if you're crit. Slow down this Chen, make him come back out on the map, force some extra rotation out of GAIMIN. This Underlord and Rubik. TP's on cooldown, both are in mid lane, so now you just have to commit for the tower. See what Maureen can do with this arcane route to defend it, but looks tough. I think this tower has found its time to go down.
Yeah, Maureen at best. They'll just keep throwing tosses out there with the arcane rune, but the refraction blocks all that damage.
Yeah, kind of inevitable. You were going to lose this tier 1. Delayed it a little bit, which I think is worth something here. But Quinn does collect the last hit as well. Early Dragonlance going to help him out, so he is big. Quite big. And if you're looking towards this race on Roshan, I mean, GAIMIN have to be winning it right now.
Sure.
Just a question of can they eventually capitalize. Though I am surprised Ace had this rough in early game, because he was dominating that CS board. I mean, he did get ganked a bunch, but there weren't really any stacks to fall back on. And so this does kind of push the tide ahead of the Underlord in the race to the ores maybe a little bit.
Tofu very far forward here. I think he was hoping to just finish up and get his level 6 so he could have a chance at stealing Shikuchi. He'll be bailed out by his Chen, though.
And I do like the itemization in the next few minutes here for Falcons. They're going to have the Battle Fury and the Ursa, so he's going to go farm, but you're going to have Blink Tiny to make the plays. Early Vessel on the Weaver to counter it, play the heals from the Chen and the sustain here. And ATF, he went the Blade Mail build on the Tidehunter, which I think makes a lot of sense here because you are against that Wind Ranger. You eliminate yourself as that target that he can bulldoze through and get rid of the front line, make everybody else deal with you. Also some nice extra armor versus the TA. Helps you farm up the stacks a bit better as well. I think it's going to pay off here over the long run. Make him feel a lot better in the fights as he works towards those auras.
GAIMIN Gladiators. They're really reaching, trying to get some kills. Falcons seem to be very correctly positioned a lot of these situations. They're going to use the Ravage to get the kill on Dyrachio. Now, Ace has used his gate. Don't think he wants to go through that one, though. He'd be surrounded
maybe you go through it if you're Falcons.
Yeah, maybe.
Take a free trip top. They're thinking about it.
Yeah, Maureen and Crit are going to do so.
Yeah, this is just a free teleport to top. You can punch into this tower. I mean, you also got to think about 14-minute Wisdom Rune here. That Vessel's coming out for the Weaver. A lot of early spell damage.
And maybe a little bit of contesting of the stacks as well.
This is the hardest position to push into, though. Falcons are going to, or GAIMIN are going to have traps here. They're going to have wards. They're going to protect the Ancients for this TA. That 14-minute Wisdom Rune is maybe a pipe dream. Still getting some solid space, and I feel like if you're Falcons, every time the Chen and the Underlord aren't pushing the lanes in against you, you're pretty happy with that game state.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Celery's early game has been pretty lackluster here.
Yeah, definitely has not accomplished what we would normally expect out of GAIMIN Gladiators. They've taken one tower.
And the difficulty, I mean, Chen you could say is a straightforward hero in some ways, but the difficulty with Chen in pro games is determining how much you can push the map and how much you should just farm the jungle. That is often the hardest decision you have to make. And here, we saw Celery try and pressure mid tower. He got some objective damage done for the team, but he's also the poorest hero in the game, which, you know, you have to weigh, okay, we got this tier 1 down, but my Chen also could have just been AFK farming that entire time.
Yeah.
And he might be the most farm support in the game and already have a mech. All these things are trade-offs right now. We'll get another tier 1 here.
And this tier 1 is particularly important because it helps control the Roshan pit for Radiant side, right? And we're probably looking at 15 to 20 minutes. That's when this next Roshan's going to die. Falcons, they're going to have to keep that in mind. Currently, they're chipping away at this mid tower. Probably will be able to trade. Oh, actually, Ace is going to come in and try and defend it. They're trying real hard about this. He pops out. Whoa, almost one-shotting Snake King. He dies pretty damn quickly from a meld hit.
Oh, but he got the last hit with the little range creep. I mean, that's the king in a nutshell right there. You think you outplay him, but he gets you in the end. Nice snipe from him. I mean, that was a tower I think Ace was like, well, time to deny the tower.
Yeah, I think so,
We
too.
get everything there. It makes that move worthwhile. But yeah, the Wisps, the extra Wisps, this facet has been really impressive to me over this tournament.
Yeah.
And I think we've just kind of seen it become the default. I mean, you know, the other one's not great, but the amount of early sustain this gives you is just ridiculous. Does not help you against big burst scenarios like that, though. And Desolator for Quinn is going to be a huge timing here for GAIMIN.
I just keep watching this Tiny. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on Tiny again. I just keep watching this guy one-shot the creep wave a toss. Like, how are you supposed to GAIMIN Gladiators push a wave with a creep wave or a Chen army when, like, just one toss just casually kills it?
What, you don't think giving the greatest pickoff hero in the history of the game instant wave shove mechanic is good?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a little bit of an overtune. Ace?
I think it's fine.
Big trouble underneath the tier 2. Are they going to go for one more toss? They might as well. They've got the bug for the vision, and he gets flattened by the watermelon himself. Goomba stomped by Amar, and they'll just run over Tofu as well. GAIMIN Gladiators.
No toss back.
Response whatsoever here.
I mean, the Vessel charges are just refilling for crit here. You throw out that Hand of God, it's just mostly negated. Vessel has done its job this game, and this Weaver is going to be big.
And what are they getting in return? Doesn't feel like they're doing much.
It's been awkward. Like, the Chen doesn't want to aggressively push the towers on his own. You want to play through the TA, but you're having trouble invading enemy Ancients. You're not taking the fights outside of that mid-tier 1 that we saw them take. Again, this has been a kind of slow early game for GAIMIN, only finding 4 kills. Quinn is insanely strong. Now, you do have an amp damage on this TA, and you did go the early blink, so the fighting and game potential for Quinn is 100% there. You can gate into those plays as well.
They moved to the wrong side of the map.
Yeah,
they just had
awkward.
all of Falcons.
You just gave up Roche.
The farthest place you could be from the Roshan pit.
And they're just running back. Like
GAIMIN Gladiators didn't do it themselves, and now they moved to the wrong side of the map trying to catch Falcons, but Falcons already here at the Roshan with an Ursa and an Enchantress. There's no way they wanted to give up this Roche, but they just might have to.
There's no way you can blind blink this as Quinn when there's Ravage.
Oh, you're really going to desperate try and portal in? Skeeter's going to try and finish it off. Ace will get the Firestorm off, but immediately be jumped and likely killed. Now, he's dead, does some decent AoE damage, but GAIMIN Gladiators, they just can't take advantage of the situation.
I feel like that was just some macro misplay from GAIMIN. I don't think that should have been as easy as it was for Falcons, especially with the Chen army you had up. This was a double Troll Summoner that didn't get lanes in. Now you're getting chased down.
Nice avalanche steal. Good use of the TA trap to slow down Amar. He's probably the biggest threat right now. Don't want to let this guy get a big ravage, but Celery's still going to die underneath the tier 2. Again, these tosses, crash landing, doing so much. Skeeter gets a bit low. Another, oh, Tofu, good avalanche into Shukuchi steal, and he gets himself denied on this ancient stack, which Skeeter will promptly farm up. He's like, okay, I didn't get the hero kill, but I'll get some neutrals.
Bleeding out kills on top of the Roshan. Once more, just Vessel charges going straight into crit. I think every charge has gotten them a big kill.
Yeah.
There's no real way to turn this unless you're willing to commit into the fight against the Ravage with your amp damage TA. Very strong right now, but if you get Ravage there, I think you're just going down. Especially with the Wind Ranger having to TP out there. GAIMIN unable to put up a strong enough front line with this Underlord, this Atos build for Ace. I kind of go back to it in terms of you knew this game was going to be a race for Roshan. I don't know if Atos helps you the most in that regard compared to an earlier Greaves or Pipe or something.
Sure.
It really hurt him when you have to contest it there and you just gate in and, hey guys, I'm an Atos Underlord on the front line.
Yeah. And frankly, it's like, did you need the extra disable? Is the disable even that good against these heroes of Falcon?
If anything, the Yules might be more useful as this game progresses versus the Ursa. You know, set up the Weaver catch into like a trap silence or something.
Yeah, or counter crash landing toss by using the unit that's flying at you.
I just feel like
that
this
might
Atos
legitimately be the best.
Yeah, that is something. I mean,
because that's what's happening. All that's happening is just like tanky heroes are getting lobbed at GAIMIN Gladiators over and over again. They take 90% of their HP away off of this toss, and then like they can't turn around and actually kill the Ursa or the Type Hunter that has landed on them.
I don't feel like this Atos is going to pay off for them. I think maybe GAIMIN had plans of this game accelerating better for them, and they could have been more aggressive. And if the Underlord is gating into TA ganks and Atosing people and setting that up, there's the value. But you're not going to get any of that in this position. Now you're going to have to take a defensive fight.
Mar ends up walking into him. Skeeter's going to follow that up. And the toss will finish him off. Ravage hits onto 3-2. That is very nice. GAIMIN Gladiators going to try and retreat back to their tier 2. Only losing the Chen for Ravage isn't so bad, though.
Yeah, I actually thought that was going to be worse for them.
Same.
Able to kind of walk it off here. Got a lot of spells out of Falcons. Ursa ult, Tide ult. Can you fight with it is the big question. Ace is just trying to catch up right now. And you're looking towards BKBs on these. Well, at least the BKB on the Wind Ranger would be big. Desolator on Quinn would be huge. He has fallen behind. Losing that Roche was a big deal. This Deso could have already been done.
And the Templar Assassin not only losing Roshan, but losing control of Ancients, losing control of the Tormentor. Everything is going very well for Falcons now. And they still have a minute and a half left on this Aegis. They'll take the Wisdom Rune at 21. Maybe does Ace have his gate? No, he doesn't. So they'll likely give up both Wisdom Runes.
I mean, I'll be honest, this feels like a draft that was designed to make the Tiny's life hard.
Yeah.
You have to go into Underlord, Pit, Firestorm. The Rubik can steal your spells, turn it against you. TA is a hard target for you to directly burst. And, I mean, this hero's 5-0 and 7 and has absolutely destroyed this game, so.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to see him game 2.
I don't think so either. God, I hope we don't see him game 2. I don't want to see another team lose another series off of back-to-back Tinies.
There's just so much you have to deal with to make the fights favorable. It is tough.
I mean,
they are in a tough position right now.
I did like the fact that GAIMIN Gladiators tried to beat it with something that we hadn't seen before. And that thing did kind of work in the Templar Assassin and like how it won the lane so hard against that hero, but ultimately you just can't stop everything else that Tiny does.
I think they had a decent shot of shutting this Tiny down pretty hard. Quinn dominated the lane, you took his tower early, you got some of the early power runes. But you get like that one bad fight losing that Roche and you just cost yourself so much momentum in this game. Now suddenly you have to deal with the Tiny who's getting really farmed, is going to have BKB and is no longer an easy target for your minus armor because he has the second point in that grow. That's a much tougher situation.
Quinn trying to get to Deso, Duraccio to BKB.
Greaves is done for this Tide Hunter. He is ready to rumble. I mean, he has a lot of armor to get through. Even have a Pavis on this Enchantress, boost him up a little bit more. Casual Buckler. Tidehunter's got 23 armor. And if you get him low, you're going to have to get through that Greavesor at the end.
Yeah.
Solar Crest for the Enchantress as well. Super nice this game. Again, you're just going to stack the armor if you're Falcons, because there's no real way to kill these frontliners on the side of GAIMIN outside that Focus Fire and the big meld Deso hits. Battle of supports in this series. So far, Falcons have dominated this game one. Enchantress, Weaver have just, they made the better rotations, got the objectives, got the early fighting up items up faster, and this Chen Rubik just fell behind. And
Chen especially, we just did not feel.
Yeah, it was not a smooth early game. I mean, these supports for GAIMIN are combined, 1 in 10. Not where you wanted to be right now. You're just food for the Tiny. That's the other problem. When you fall behind with supports versus hero, you're just instant killed.
Yep. So you got 1 BKB done on GAIMIN Gladiators, but Falcons have 2.
Oh, nice silence.
Nice shackle turnaround. And they'll get a decent Firestorm. Celery is almost already dead. Skeeter jumps in with his BKB to finish off the backline support. Duracio's going to be up next. Windrun trying to back away from these tanky boys that Falcons are rocking, while Ace is making a run for it down the river. Won't be running for long, though. Run right into his grave. 18-4, 13,000 net worth lead now for Falcons.
This game is just getting completely out of control for GAIMIN right now. They are going to significantly lack the damage they need here in the next 5 minutes. They cannot find some big core kill on the map. I mean, that was a full Focus Fire BKB they win that Tide.
It did nothing, man.
Absolutely nothing. Gossamer Cape, the Blade Mail, extra Kraken block, and then you'll throw in a Solar Crest on top. This is what this pick was designed to do, and it cannot do it. And there's a lot of ways Falcons can get on Celery this game. I feel like every fight has been somebody jumping the Chen and bursting him down. It's either the Weaver with the Vessel and Swarm, the Tidehunter jumps in, you get a Ravage, the Ursa finds him, or the Tiny finds him.
Close call.
Too many things you have to hide from right now.
And that'll be a constant problem for Duracio. The Anchor didn't have the cooldown up for the Windrun. The Anchor, extremely deadly. I mean, even if you have a BKB and the quick reactions deal with the Ravage, you're just going to be assaulted by so many various things here from Falcons in these situations.
There's just not really any space left to play with. You're also looking at this map while Duracio's going down. There's not a single Radiant Obs on the map right now for GAIMIN. So you're trying to contend with just playing around the trap vision. Is that enough? A lot of it's been dewarded. You can't get the lanes out deep right now. And every time you lose space to operate and lose vision, this Tiny becomes more oppressive. The Anchor becomes more oppressive. Looking at a Halberd now for ATF would be super strong versus these cores. Completely debilitates both these range cores if you can get to it. Not a lot of near-term solutions for GAIMIN unless you can somehow win that next Roshan. That would be a huge turning point.
What does that fight even look like, though?
I do not know. I mean, you have to burst down one of these cores in some sort of crazy sequence with chain stunning, like Big Shackle into Lift with stolen spells, and just let the TA and the Wind Ranger focus them down.
I'm going to say you're not bursting down Tide or Tiny, so you have to get a Shackle on Skeeter, some sort of telekinesis into Shackle, and kill him in that window.
Yeah,
I actually don't think you have enough disables to kill any of these cores before they get off BKB, or in Amar's case, like Greaves and stuff.
Well,
and that may not even be a discussion, because this pick off on Templar Assassin right next to the Roshan pit, right as Roshan spawns, means that Falcons, they already probably had a free Roshan in their hands, but now it's freer than ever.
There goes your contest. This will be a cheese Roche, which means you give the Aegis to the Ursa, the cheese to the Tiny or the Tide, both good targets for it.
It's just a two-man kill squad of Crit and Malrine will hunt down Duracio, while they also take the Roche.
Yeah, this game just completely collapsed. That first Roshan was such a pivotal moment in this game, and GAIMIN just didn't execute the lanes well enough to put themselves in a position to take it away. Now you find yourself in almost insurmountable position here because your lineup just doesn't function from this point.
No.
You just don't have damage to bring these heroes down at all. And the armor continues to stack here through the neutral items, through the ags and the shard bonuses. You're going to have another core to deal with as this Weaver is completing Gleipnir.
They got to get another round of Tormentors during this Aegis as well. Actually, did they? I don't think they ever. They didn't even do their own. Oh, yeah, they did. I remember now. It was the Weaver plus Ursa. But we're going to have another Tormentor spawning in 2 minutes on the Radiant side. Feels like very likely Falcons will be able to play for that one. Quinn gets picked off in the river. I mean, you got to take certain risks at this point.
Yeah,
be out on the map somewhere. Otherwise, you're just going to get starved to death.
Did get an amp damage rune for his trouble.
See if he can use that in 40 seconds when he's back up. Meanwhile, though, Falcons try and go for the kill on crit. Telekinesis back into the shackle. They do manage to get the pick off. So not a core, but they get a kill on a support. They don't even lose anybody for it. Radovatos just in time. Spoke too soon, though, as the Underlord comes in and is overwhelmed by heroes. 4 heroes around him. Impetus shots. Oh, is that one? That one's going to land, and it's going to do the damage to finish him off. They keep jumping forward. Skeeter hopping on to Duraccio, forcing another win run. As he backs away. Whoa, Malrine gets the toss into the Ravage. As the win run was expiring, the toss by itself was going to be good enough, but Amar secures it with a Ravage at the same time. And Falcons will now just take the full lane, perhaps.
TA's back up, still has that amp damage rune. Able to threaten a little bit here, but you're just toggling the deaths. No real entry into this fight. Did not get the Ravage steal either. Still have Aegis for 2.5 minutes. And the tosses continue.
Another toss back, but it's a TA, so able to keep the refraction up. Blink backwards, doesn't get him far enough away. Falcons just able to run him down even after the blink. And diving well past tier 4s with 0 punishment, it seems. Malrine tosses Amar out of the pit that he was stuck in. And back to friendlier skies.
Another game where Tiny dominates it pretty much from the 10th. That's the second he had Blink in this game. Just felt like GAIMIN got nothing done.
Oh, nice stolen toss there from Tofu, which might lead to the pickoff on Snaking. Yeah, he's going to die into the focus fire. They don't have focus fire for the rest of these heroes, but Amar's getting a little bit low. They have to back away, though. The heal, Celery can't contend with the damage buildup from Skeeter. Does way too much. Goes into the fountain for a little bit there. Cops some damage. Now he still has the Aegis. The toss, avalanche from behind from Malrine. Does big damage from GAIMIN Gladiator. Skeeter goes back into it. Finishes off the Underlord. Now turns to Duraccio. The win run. The win run's only going to last so long. He can't catch up to Malrine. Can't finish the job. And now he'll die. Oh, never mind. Another win run. And he's okay for now. Power shot gets thrown out. They do manage to take away that Aegis. A silence onto crit. Oh, Yule's after the Shikuchi. An opportunity here presents itself. Any disables? Nothing. GAIMIN Gladiators have to let Falcons run.
I cannot believe Malrine got out of there. Like, he went past your tier 4s, avalanched your entire team, and walked it off. Didn't even have BKB for that.
Gotcha.
Man, he is beefy. And again, the lack of damage from GAIMIN. The real kills they're getting are just these focus fires on supports, which, you know, would have been nice 10 minutes ago, and now it's a little too late. It's just so hard to bring a target down and open up that fight for yourself. Everybody's just jumping on the Chen all the time. There's not a lot that can bail him out. Still, you only lost 1 laner Rax. I mean,
looking on the bright side of life.
Yeah, you got a Deso charge for the TA. More on the board.
Yeah, true. That extra 2 damage will go a long ways. Meanwhile, Mars picked up 20 Kraken Shell block.
Oh, so okay, yeah, he's outpacing you a little bit.
He's outpacing you just a little bit, but... And unfortunately, Deso has a cap, whereas this Kraken Shell facet does not, so that'll also be a problem with the way these kills are racking up. And here comes what could be the final blow in this game 1. 27,000 net worth lead. Not gonna wait for a third Roshan. Frankly, do not need it. Jumping onto the Templar Assassin. That's all they need to really kill. It's the only real damage threat is Dyrachyo just cannot seem to do enough with the focus fires most of the time. Got to be careful with Fountain, I suppose. That's the other damage dealer. A buyback from the Templar Assassin will kick Falcons back, but hey, just going to call it Game of Gladiators. This game has been done and dusted.
So a lot on the line here as we're heading over to Cap and SVG for the game.
That's right. Welcome back, everybody, to Game of Gladiators versus Team Falcons. We just heard the panel just full of copium as they talked about how, yeah, Game of Gladiators, they've got the Dyrachyo Chaos Knights. They have a Hoodwink that's maybe better set up for success. We've got an active mid-Quinn hero, so everything should be much better for Game of Gladiators going into Game 2. But they're wrong, Avery.
You should break the desk.
I did. Out of anger, because we're about to watch another team get 2-0'd by Tiny, the hero who is 6-1 in the playoffs. Yeah, don't ignore the weaker teams playing Tiny, all right? Playoffs, 6-1. This hero is broken. Stop giving it to people.
Look, GAIMIN just want to get crash landed into the lower bracket. You know, it's only fitting. And that's the way you want to do it. That's the way you want to do it. I feel like this is tempting fate too much. Like, at a certain point okay, so the logic I think GAIMIN are going for, you know, the big question is why would you give them Tiny again over some of the other bans? The one ban I think is debatable versus this Tiny is, for example, the Pango. We've seen Pango be successful, but in my mind, is Pango scarier than Tiny? I think most people would say no. But the one thing Pango does that Tiny doesn't do is he's a bit better at countering push strats. I think one of the weaknesses of Tiny, in theory, is if you can push him down and get like fast grease pipe up, then his entry into that fight isn't as strong as something like a Pango who can just roll through it and get a big shield crash and give you, you know, some good anti-AoE.
I actually see it the opposite, where Tiny does so much damage that he cuts through pipe.
Well, this is the question. Is Tiny actually weak against anything right now, or is he just so good with the extra lane shove, the extra AoE, he can displace heroes out of the aura ball? I personally think you should ban this hero. I think the numbers are just too stupid. I think when a hero enters a place where the numbers are too stupid, and the hero has a lot of other stuff going for him, we should not forget that this hero is probably viable even if the talent facet wasn't insane.
It is one of the like quintessential TI heroes for a reason, right? Yep. He shows up for so many TI, so many big tournaments because he has the best displacement ability in the game.
There's a lot you have to overcome to make this hero really weak, and at this point it starts to beg the question, like, are things like a Pangolier ban spookier than a Tiny ban? And we'll see if GAIMIN come to regret that decision. They could also look like geniuses here if they're able to push the hero down and exploit maybe his one little weakness. At this point in the Craggy.
At this point in the tournament, upper bracket semifinals, I think upper bracket finals, you definitely start thinking along this line of logic. But do you think Game of Gladiators is already thinking about, like, okay, longer term, outside of just this series, like, we need to break the Tiny. If we can break the Tiny, then it's a huge drafting advantage for us against not just Falcons, but any future series that we're going to be playing.
Yeah, that's part of the value, right? If you can beat it here, you have a really good shot of just going to the finals, perhaps. You're going to have to play either Tundra or Liquid, which are both also big teams behind this hero. You're trying to prep for that to some degree. There is a lot of logic in it, though. Is it too brazen is the one question.
All right, we'll try and get away from the Tiny subject. Apologize to the audience. My own feelings are overwhelming me here. Tofu. Oh, maybe it's going to be bottom lane where the first blood is going to happen as Mar limping along. A blood grenade is not enough. Seems like the Chen is having a bit better influence in this lane than last time. And of course, we'll see that support battle. I mean, we heard the panel talk about support diff early on. You definitely highlighted the fact that the Enchantress plus Weaver was way more potent in the early game for Falcons. And a big note was that it felt like the Chen fell a little flat. So a lot of eyes on Celery to see if he can make a difference this time around.
I think this lane is a much better setup for them than that Wind Ranger in game one. CK is a hero that can use the Penitence well, use the mana burn on the Tide to out-trade him with your passive, and just abuse the Tide Hunter more on lane, which is kind of what the Chen wants. He wants his core to be as strong as possible after that first 5 minutes, so he has the gate rotation potential. He has the ability to go mid and crash the runes. If your safe laner's in a position where you're just losing in the one-on-one, it feels really bad to leave that lane. So the more work GAIMIN get done here, the better it's going to set Celery up for a lot more success than that first game. And he's already mana burned these heroes out, so this lane's already secured for Dyrachyo. Just a matter of how much you get out of it.
Staking. Oh, is the Facet going to give him enough whiffs? It will not. First blood this time around goes to Ace.
Another big pickup for their off lane as well. Both side lanes finding some action here for GAIMIN. Now, they did win all 3 lanes in that game 1 early on. Yep, they just kind of crumbled after that. I expect something similar here. I think the lane setup once again looks pretty strong. GAIMIN have favored some strong cores to either propose a kill threat or out CS the enemy. That is maybe the other downside of Tiny. I mean, again, minor downside, but he kind of lets you pick a lot of stuff for mid.
Yeah.
Void Spirit's not a hero we've seen a lot lately. Is one Quinn's very familiar with.
He's going to die as well, so the lane continues to go very well. It's this aggressive duo, a lot different, right? You could be much more active and pressure the enemy carry way more with a Brewmaster Hoodwing than the Rubik Underlord that we saw from last game, at least when it comes to kills.
Got to keep the pressure up. Just keep snowballing this early game if you're a GAIMIN. You have a decent shot to get Roshan's and start to push Falcons down, which is, you know, in theory, where they're a little susceptible. Though they do have Gyro Tide, which are very good at taking tower defense-oriented fights, especially if the Tiny gets some power runes. Those runes are going to be really important for these 2 mid laners. Could allow the Void Spirit to rotate, maybe get an amp damage rune or, you know, a haste and just get a big core kill early on in this game. Could be huge.
Always good to get a Harpy.
I do think this Void Spirit is an interesting pick because I felt like GAIMIN had no chance of winning that late game in game 1, and I think this hero almost always gives you a chance of winning late game. He does really weird, funny things as the game progresses past like that 40 to 60 minute mark. His scale is insane. It's maybe one of the most ridiculous in the game with full slots. And it's a hero that Quinn is very familiar with going late on, so he's going to have a good laning phase versus the Tiny here. As long as you can get Quinn into a pretty good net worth position where he's leading the pack or in that top 3, you should be pretty comfortable with your scale here. A lot more in this game 2 than game 1 as if you're GAIMIN. I think the CK Brew are also going to have a much better time as this game progresses versus the Gyro particularly. You can never latch on to Skeeter in this game. You might just be able to burst him outright.
Quinn dives ahead of Malrine to pick up the regen rune into the bottle. As long as he survives, getting his way back, Bushwhack will help. And now he's got the extra shield. They're going to try and punch through it anyway, though. No spells to be thrown out, just hoping the Falcons will run out of damage, and run out of damage they will. In fact, Malrine, danger of running out of health here as he dives past the tower, takes a healthy amount of damage. Another 2-man Bushwhack, and Quinn is coming back in with another round of spells. Drops that Astral Step, finishes off snaking, brings Malrine low. Will not have enough to be able to kill him, but very good for GAIMIN Gladiators. 3-0.
Did take this Sanctuary Facet as well, which you gotta remember it's an all damage barrier now.
Yep.
So this is pretty nice versus burst heroes like Tiny. I could see this Void Spirit get tanky enough that maybe you can survive a burst. It's another hero we saw in that first game, like when you toss the TA in, he's able to blink out. Void Spirit can do something similar. You toss this Void Spirit in, he can just instantly jaunt. So you have some counterplay there and a double Wisdom Rune. Exactly what you're looking for if you are GAIMIN Gladiators here. Boost those support experience pools up. Get the support advantage on the map and start to assault these towers.
Yeah.
Much better position than game 1.
I think Innates oftentimes get ignored, but I think Void Spirits is probably one of the more interesting ones, right? He's got that extra secondary bonuses, right? Which leads to magic resistance on intelligence. Skeeter barely lives there, and now they're turning around from Falcons. Going for the kill on Ace. Crit. Feels like they should be able to run him down. Really good Bushwhack, though. They're getting lots of Bushwhacks from Tofu. Very valued. They don't die. In fact, Quinn is going to be able to clean up not 1, but 2 out of this.
Ooh, what a nice rotation. And Tofu and Ace have been doing work on this lane. Shows you the power of this first pick Hoodwink. Absolutely crush this lane. Set this Brewmaster up for success. More earn charges. Going to start to push towards that level 6. Maybe you can just get a solo kill with that. Quinn will lose the rune, but it's not a great one here, so he's not too sad about it, and has full resources on this Void Spirit. So very scary on the map the next time that TP comes off cooldown, and he's top of the net worth chart, which is exactly where you want this hero relative to the Tiny. Make sure Malrine doesn't have good targets to snowball off of in this game. As the second that blink comes out, you have to start thinking about what position are we in when the Tiny can start looking for kills. you're gaming, you're probably thinking about this rotation soon. Either the Chen or the CK through the gate, particularly if you're getting pressured down here, which Duracchio's feeling it. Instead, he gets rotated on.
Yeah, Skeeter catches him. Duracchio is gonna die. Skeeter able to take that last hit, and then they'll run down Celery underneath the tower, no problem. So Falcons, once again, taking the pace away from GAIMIN Gladiators by being the first to go through the gate.
That was such a good move by Skeeter. Did so much right there for Falcons. Eliminates the move from GAIMIN that could have come out. Benefits from the pressure of the lane going in with this double range that Amar shoved. Gets extra experience for the supports who were missing it off the Wisdom runes. And shuts down this Chen who was starting to build up an army with the level 5. That did a lot of small things for Falcons there to kill some of the lane momentum. Still behind a bit here. That move definitely helps. And you're going to probably look towards Skeeter to be pretty active in this game. I think you're going to need, if you want to defend towers, you're going to need the Tide and the Gyro here to combat the Brute. Wish that GAIMIN had just committed harder for that move.
Yeah.
I think it would have worked out. And I think they are really strong. I don't think anything can test this Brewmaster ulti in the early game.
I don't think so either. It is a pretty big difference this time around, right? Like, last time we had a Templar Assassin on GAIMIN Gladiators. This time, GAIMIN Gladiators don't actually have an ancient farming stacker, right? Too much. Quinn, the shot's coming in for the gyrocopter will not quite land. Mallory's going to try and kill him with the crash landing, and of course it does.
You know the thing about this is, like, every time somebody in this tournament has died to this toss, they always have the same expression.
What?
It's like, how did he get me? How did he do
so much damage?
That's the part I laugh at every time. I mean, maybe I enjoy Dota players' misery a little bit, but like, across every team, every time it's happened.
Every time?
I don't understand it. At this point, it should not be surprising. In fact, you should be surprised if you live through it.
Exactly.
If I survive with 10 HP, I'm like, what? I didn't die?
Well, Falcons to make a big move. Killing Quinn, taking his tower, and that'll drag a lot of that net worth back down. GAIMIN Gladiators were beginning to build up a bit of a nest egg. I thought GAIMIN Gladiators were going to be the ones to take the mid tower and then threaten taking over the triangle, which is what I was trying to get to, is the fact that Falcons really want to play off of those stacks, where GAIMIN Gladiators don't need to. They can focus way more on just invading and keeping the Gyrocopter and Tidehunter away from those Ancients.
Yeah, I like the idea of the wraparound mid with the instant Vessel on Ace. I think they should have just committed to that move, and I think it would have prevented Skeeter making that move of his own. I mean, honestly, Skeeter has done so much work for Falcons in this early game with this gyro. He has really shown his strength as a carry.
Mar really believing in his strength. TP's into 4 heroes. Gets down to about half. Still
It's an
on
amp damage.
Oh, nice shackle. With the Gyrocopter ult coming in, maybe Amar is rethinking that Ravage. I think Amar was looking at that situation where it was just like, all right, I'm just going to defend this. And then all of a sudden, everybody from Falcons showed up to help.
I think if Skeeter could have been there faster, you would have ravaged there, but they were tanky, right? Hand of God goes off. These are some beefy heroes. You don't really have too many nukes to play with there.
And don't want to necessarily try and incentivize your allies to fight into amp damage, avoid spirit.
Yeah, that's another very spooky part of that. You always have this Vessel. You know, if the gyro commits to the fight and you just Vessel him, becomes pretty scary for Skeeter to commit to that play. Big Ancient stack being done from ATF here, though. This is another downside of not invading that jungle area early with the Brewmaster ulti. You have given Falcons a lot of recovery farm for the Tide and the Tiny, who are just fighting over it right now. Blink done for the Tiny. Mech coming out soon for this Tide. You'll get a quick little pickup here. Nice little find by Duracchio, creating some map pressure of his own.
I don't think it's ideal that Game of Gladiators couldn't contest the first round of stacks, but ultimately it's a longer game, right? Like, if you could still take over that area and prevent, you know, use of those ancient camps for the next 20, 30 minutes, that's more of what you're playing for, right?
Yeah, and your scale's better. So even if little things like that go wrong, it's not a death sentence here.
Sure.
In fact, you're seeing Falcons feel like they have to make a move to try and find
Dyrachyo, who is not there.
He will not die this time, and it's going to be a wasted move from Falcons. Costs him a lot. Now you invade the triangle. No stacks left to take, but
you need
maybe get a nice little pickup on the way back. Not the target you want to run into.
Arcane Rune, always great for a tiny. There's 14-minute Wisdom Runes also out there. Mar just faking the Ravage, just seeing if he can get... actually got a toss back into the Ravage with a Shackle holding him for half a second. It's not enough. He gets a jump away. The missile's coming in. He didn't actually dodge the missile, but it looks like he's going to be fine anyway. Toss over. The Brewling's taking a lot of damage. The Brewlings are going to get burnt out. Oh, the Brewmaster ultimate not strong enough, at least not in a 1v4 pretty much. Nobody of Game of Gladiators really backing him up there. And they'll get extra kills, of course. Malrine jumping forward, getting his hands on whoever he can, throws him back into the team. Tofu will join Ace in death. Oh, the Avalanche was just off the mark. Man, Malrine almost found a third kill for them.
That Arcane Rune went hard in that fight. I mean, we talked about the Hero to death, but that is another scary asset. Just giving this hero power runes, he goes absolutely ham with them. The tips come out as Malrine secures a big team fight win. First Brewmaster ult, you end up dying during it. Just not used early enough in this game to get the real value. And it's a fight where your Void Spirit almost gets chain stunned to death. That was incredibly close for the missile landing and just obliterating Quinn. Very good execution there. But he's tanky enough, he's able to survive. The downside is your Void Spirit's out of the fight. Your Chaos Knight's not there. That's basically just a 5-on-3 at that point. Falcon's happy to collect.
And that Chaos Knight is not going to be joining these fights for a little bit while longer as he's trying to finish up that Orchid, which will be very influential when it is up. A nice pickoff on the enemy carry is lined up for Game & Gladiators. Ace will commit to it, diving into the tier 2, and Amar's TP comes way too late, plus he doesn't have Ravage.
Yeah, just comes in to collect the farm that Skier will miss, of course, with that depth. ATF never misses a CS. That's a nice little pickup for Gaming. Didn't get him with the ult, but you got him with the Vessel Sharp Shot. And this is the real power of Hoodwink. I mean, this is why this hero is a premier support right now. I feel like it always gives you easy 2 or 3 man kill threats on anything in the game, which is a big deal. See Quinn get comboed down there. He's not too happy about that.
And particularly if you're matched up against a non-strength carry, right? And Gyrocopter gets some pretty decent stats, but early on, man, this fast. He does some heavy lifting for the Enchantress sometimes. Dyrachyo will finally be able to get that kill.
Now somebody give this man some mana. He's just running around with no mana on this Chaos Knight.
Yeah.
Making life harder than it needs to be. I guess Orchid will do the job. But you, there's some Arcane Boots. So you have double Arcane Boots. You have Mech on the Chen. This Orchid's coming out for the CK. Dyrachyo is incredibly fun. Like, he has been shoving out that top lane. Nobody has pressured him. He's found some extra Enchantress kills. And now it's time to activate him. This can be a very strong point of the game for GAIMIN if they can combine their cores in either a big fight or do Roshan with 2 or 3 heroes and then make Falcons come and get that fight that way. Nobody's really contesting the CK right now. He is incredibly tanky with Mech Hand of God behind him.
Yeah, on that line of thought, do you think, how well do you think Tide Hunter, Quinn got tossed back? Great jump once again from Falcons, playing off the high ground ward. Malrine not dropping that initiation whatsoever. Another pickoff on Quinn. So they may not be shutting down the Chaos Knight, but they're certainly doing a lot of work against this Void Spirit, though. The Gyrocopter's in trouble once again. A toss over helps out, but Gyrocopter still dies ultimately. Dyrachyo running low on illusions. It's just his hero left, and he's in way too deep at this point in time. He's going to go for the kill on Crit and just hope that he can find another one. Oh, nice bushwhack. Maybe he gets the kill on Malrine before he goes down. Turns back around, tries to grab him, but a Shackle Shot holds him in place. He's going to go for some armlet toggling, but he's just against too many odds here, while Snaking distracts the other 2 supports. Might even be able to slow him down long enough to get the kill as Malrine finds his prey. Quinn
Man,
jumping
bushwhack.
back in. Beautiful bushwhack on 3. Quinn will finish off the Tiny. Now Ravage is going to go down. That will catch the Hoodwink and actually clips the Void Spirit in the back lines. Now, can this Void Spirit kill some of these supports? They've got the Brewmaster, who's also going to be coming in here. Amar is just going to ignore everybody.
It's a very tough target with Greaves.
And now that they've got another damage dealer behind them with a Gyrocopter as well, things not looking the best for GAIMIN Gladiators. The shackle shot into the missile doesn't quite land. The missile is going to be disjointed by an Assimilate.
It shows you how little faith Ace has in this Brule to do work here.
Yo, yeah.
Just doesn't even want to pop it. I mean, it's still level 1. He's so close to level 12 here. I think if that's a second level in the ult, then you commit it.
Also, Pipe
is 4 XP short after that camp.
Pipe is almost done for him as well.
Yeah,
so these are very big timings. You don't want to throw them away.
Just desynced here from GAIMIN. I mean, we saw the power of the CK there. He's so tanky. It takes a long time to bring him down. If that's a fight where GAIMIN have one more core there with Dyrachyo, you can maybe just wipe them. But again, the timings have been a little off in this game too. You're trying to get there with the Brewmaster. You're now there. Now Dyrachyo, do you want to go and fight again after you paid it with your life? You're looking for this Manta on the Void Spirit too would be a big item. And if you lose him here, you might lose control of this 20-minute Tormentor.
Once again, or drop down so they can get the initiation 100-0, and they are on top of this area for Tormentor as well.
Good night.
They're going to stick around to do it. That would be very aggressive. A little risky.
Oh,
but
100%.
Okay.
Is what this move is designed for, and you're going to take benefit of it. GAIMIN do not want to contest. Lose their carry, lose their Tormentor. Shard goes to the Wind Ranger, which is super nice this game.
I love when teams make that move, by the way. I feel like this 20-minute, 21-minute deal is so valuable. You get a pick off on Dyrachyo, but then you also take 1,400 gold. That's like a 2,000 net worth swing. Easy. Oh, I see. Okay, maybe not a 2,000 net worth swing if you've already bought the Shard. Whoopsies.
A little unlucky. What can you do?
Yeah, just casually lose 700 gold. Pushing him away. Missed the bushwhack, though. And missed the shot, too, that Ace would have been able to follow up on. And Crit will take some Lotuses away from Ace on his way out.
Oh, wait, no, I couldn't.
Echo Saber done for the Tiny. That's an important pickup because it will, I assume he's going to go BKB next.
Condor or BKB, probably one of the two. Kind of surprised that GAIMIN haven't tried to just force Roshan. I don't think that fight's too bad with them. With the early sustain from the Chen, who's having a much better game this time around. You have CK who can do it really fast with the Penitence, and then you're going to get a good fight for Ace with this level 2 tool. Maybe Pipe will be the signal, and Manta's done on Quinn. Also picks up an Arcane Rune.
Yeah, but they've been waiting on this Pipe for a while. Did his courier die or something? Toss back into Ravage.
Is this enough damage?
It might just be enough. Okay, the Illusion Rune spares him one of those impetuses. It would have been a bit closer had it not been for that one. But
yeah, the God definitely helps.
I mean, Ravage being down,
they're going to go back in.
GAIMIN Gladiators should immediately try and do something with this. They'll get the pick off on Snake King to start. What else can you get during this window of time?
I mean, just go Roche. That's the easy play. You could look for more kills on the map, try and get some deep wards out. You know, look for the pickoffs with the Hoodwink, collapse the lanes. You could push a tier 2. Also an option here, but I agree. You want to get something done right now. Exert some pressure in this game while that Ravage is on cooldown for nothing. And Quinn's just back to full HP here off the Chen sustain. Even finds a regen rune. So he's getting all the power runes, getting the extra levels here.
And very importantly, this Manta will help him continue to deal with that problem because they also have the anger, right? And that's a big problem for the Void Spirit unless you have some sort of dispel deal. So that'll help him dodge a bit of damage, kill the anchor, get back to full mobility again.
This is looking decent for GAIMIN here. They're going to get an uncontested Roshan. Going to be very fast as well. You have some good Chen auras between the 3 little creeps here. Extra damage, extra magic resist. It's going to be a strong push coming through with this Pipe timing. Big question is how much can you push it right now? I think there is a world you just barrel down a tier 2 and force the tier 3. Because in theory, that 5-on-5 is unlosable, except for the fact that you're going to get tossed in on somebody.
I think they barrel down the bottom lane and they could take... Oh, I guess never mind. I forgot Falcons already did their Tormentor too, so.
Because right now feels like a low point for Falcons in terms of damage output.
Yes.
Like your gyro is into that third, fourth item territory where he packs a punch. This Tiny and Tide are doing some decent spell damage, but they're not
Look at Ace
heroes.
just shrugging off this damage.
Yeah, you're not threatening them right now.
And they'll get a pick as Tofu goes through the gate, comes in from behind, gets the bushwhack onto Tiny. No stuns. No stuns. Okay. Falcons will be able to mostly just TP straight out. Be snaking left behind once again, but he'll create as much of a diversion for as long as possible. And it's
What is this, man?
a decent amount of time.
Why is that a thing? I don't know, but they get him. Time to push is the question mark.
Yeah, gotta go for tier 2 top.
Are you gonna make me watch this again? Come on. It was long enough the first time.
It really was.
All right, if I'm gaming, I want to start going down a lane. Start hitting these tier 2s. I don't care about Falcon's 5-man fight right now because you have Aegis, you have Pipe, you have Hand of God, double Manta up, Shield Rune even on this Void Spirit. This has felt like the best moment in any of these Tiny games where the Tiny might not be able to have the impact we've seen.
Yeah.
You've tanked up enough fast enough and snowballed this game to where your 5-man is hard to break right now. So you get 2 tier 2s for it. You can go down the last lane. You have Vision down there as well.
I mean, you got to be confident when you see Skeeter do something like this, where he knows that they can't contest GAIMIN Gladiators, so they're trying to do, like, you know, creep-cutting shenanigans around the map just to try and stall the game out a bit longer. I feel like that gives you all the confidence you need of, like, guys, they really do not want us to go high ground right now.
It's just you're not really building damage here on the side of Falcons, which I think is their biggest problem right now.
Yeah.
It's just not coming from any of these cores. You're getting BKB on Gyro, BKB on Tiny, and trying to get to Ashivas on the Tide, which is not going to be here for a long time. None of these items really help you punch through this ball, and this is GAIMIN's MO. They got the successful ramp they wanted in this game too. This is the type of Chen game they were looking for. They have it. Greaves is done. Drums is done. You have Creep Auras. You have Pipe.
Nice shackle. 3-second stun on the Tidehunter. No crack and shell cleanse. They just don't even hit him.
Gotta look for a toss back here. Try and burst somebody.
There's a lot of gunk in the way, though. Chen army, just a ton of illusions. GAIMIN Gladiators hit tier 3, go bottom, hit tier 2. Another minute and a half left on the Aegis, so opportunity to go high ground again. They have one BKB done on Maureen. Another BKB just needs a minute or two. And then they will have BKB on the Gyrocopter as well. Now, there will still be the problem of damage, but I imagine Falcons will think that a two BKB timing is going to be strong enough to contest GAIMIN Gladiators.
Trying to catch Skeeter right now. Does not have that BKB yet. He's 150 off.
Well, he may need a few more minutes after this one to get that BKB, as he is definitely caught here.
Can't TP if the Remnant doesn't go out.
Yeah, exactly. Quinch is going to hold on to this one, wait for the Astral Steps to come in. Meanwhile, Falcons is trying to force things on the mid lane, go for the Chen pickoff. Skeeter trying to dodge as much as he can, but the Bushwhack will finally finish him off. And the Chen only got down to about half HP here. If anything, GAIMIN Gladiators are going to be able to fight this one back, quickly killing Crit and Amar snaking. Both going to go for the TP out. The snaking will have his denied as the stuns come out from the Brewmaster, who popped his ultimate here to ensure, okay, got to make sure we don't lose this mid-fight because the top engagement is going very well for us.
Time to go high ground.
Winning both sides of the engagement means free high ground push.
Skeeter cannot get to that BKB in time, and it costs Falcons a lot here as they lose both sides of this fight, and they're going to lose up mid-racks very quickly, and you're probably going to have to fight the second you come up with this Ravage to try and get something going here. The ball has come alive for GAIMIN. They're too tanky. They've successfully built the defense against the Tiny.
It's true. They have like 10 different buffs on them.
The buffs on this man are absolutely absurd.
Falcons just trying to use the BKBs to go for it, but they're just not doing any damage, like you said. They're battling into this Chaos Knight and Brewmaster, who have dropped none of their HP so far. Nice loss back, though. The Hoodwink, that's an easier pick-off. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get him, and he gets into the trees instead. Maureen stuck underneath this Remnant into disables, is going to die. And Amar, not long for this world perhaps either. Skeeter now pops his BKB as Quinn tries to jump in, finally hitting the Ravage. Throwing the damage at Quinn. He dissimulates the Impetus, and they just keep on going. They just keep pushing forward. Even at half HP, they know that Falcons have been run out of damage, and that's it. Amar's just going to call it here. That was their last stand. They hit their 2 BKB timing, tried to hold, but they know GAIMIN Gladiators, they're Huskar well enough. Come on. Surely they're cooking up something really good, right, Avery?
I also did not hear one big factor, which was they're going to put the Huskar mid.
Yes, they are going to do that. They are not going to do Amar Huskar offlane.
Yeah, I think it's way more likely that ATF just goes mid here. He has done it before in the past, particularly with this hero.
Yes.
And honestly, if you're going to pick a player in the world that's going to be like, yo, guys, let me go mid, I'm a dumpster this kid, probably this guy. Not that this matchup is hard to dumpster someone in, but I would be extremely surprised if Falcons did not put ATF mid on this Huskar for the Huskar Ember matchup here. You get the Primal against the CK, which is totally fine. Maybe Maureen's not too comfortable in the off lane, but I mean, whatever. You gank for him once or twice. He's a Primal. He'll buy BKB and have impact in the fights.
I feel like Primal Beast kind of plays itself in some regards, right? It's like you get out of lane and then you run around and do the same thing anyway.
There's no way you're picking Huskar against Ember and not putting that matchup there. It would just be, you'd just be GGing yourself.
Yes, which is where the silence may actually be a buff, right? I think for so many matchups, the change from a disarm to a silence is actually a big downside for the Huskar, but against this matchup specifically could be very good. Dyrachyo is going to get run down, so that's going to be snaking his damage over time from the dual breath. Ends up snagging the last hit over Maureen. But either way, it's a Falcons first blood.
That's the second time Dyrachyo's died at that rune contest. He died there game 1. And those are bad deaths. I mean, first blood's always bad to give away, but I feel like when you give it away on this Chen lane that we've seen now 3 times in a row, it's kind of mega bad because enemies get level advantage, which means they can get a level 2 or 3 first and just go on you. That's kind of when Chen's the weakest. He doesn't get to play this long laning phase with the mana burn going to work, things like this.
And in this situation, they body block the creep camp, so it goes underneath the tower. So the creep equilibrium is going to push out to the favor of the Primal Beast, which is going to be very good in this matchup.
This looks like a strong laning phase for Falcons on paper. They have very high damage early game supports that should out damage this Chen dual support from GAIMIN. They have cores that can set up kills. They have a mid matchup that is very favorable on paper. Could be scary, depending on how the early CS goes and how they use this first blood bottom.
It'll certainly be a difference in pace, right? GAIMIN Gladiators won the lanes, definitely won the lanes in game 1. I would say they mostly won the lanes in game 2 as well. So what does it look like if Falcons run away with the laning phase, as they are sure to do?
That is a good question. Chen is not very good at getting pushed down himself. You have Huskar to take Roshan. You don't have a lot of tower pressure. I mean, Huskar can sometimes pressure tier 1 by just winning the lane so hard. But there's still a lot of AoE in this lineup. I think the Primal is, again, a hero Falcons go back to when they feel like the early game to mid game transition is rough for them. This is a hero that can give you a lot in that category and can test some of these early tier 1 pushes really easily.
Oh, James doesn't land on Amar. Quinn will take some heavy punishment for that one.
So far, Quinn's doing okay. I don't think the levels 1 and 2 are too bad for this, but the 3 through 5 are where it really heats up. And you have to try and survive this little body block tier off the water rune. A little awkward.
What about our off lane for GAIMIN Gladiators? So the last time around, we saw this Brewmaster plus Hoodwink. Man, they did some serious work. Snapfire, I feel like, just doesn't give you quite the same firepower. And I feel like your matchup against Jakiro is also a lot worse. So not expecting them to run away with the lanes like they did with the previous Brewmaster game.
And it's Crit who gets his hands on the Hoodwink this time as a result, which was a dominating force.
Nice dual breath. Big damage. Tofu's going to go down, and Snaking will be able to stay out of the hands of Ace. So 2-0 now to the favor of Falcons as Ace grabs the creep wave and drags it around without his support hanging about.
GAIMIN did pretty well CS-wise the first 3 minutes here, but this is going to be the test now. The next 3 minutes leading up to that 6-minute power rune. Do you give up too much here, particularly in mid, particularly against some of the primal hoodwink spells as they start to heat up? So far that chain lane's going well, but this Brewmaster one is not going nearly as well as it was game 2. Jakiro, a true laning force. Never thought I'd see the day, but we're here.
Go. Cookie over the trees, does manage to catch him. Good spot. We're gonna have to just always beware of the possibility that mid lane could get run down as Quinn takes down to about 50 HP.
Yeah, we saw Doraccio low bottom off the primal trample combo. There's a lot of kill threat on these lanes, and gotta take the trip to base. You gotta do it, man.
Yep, that's just the nature of the matchup. Level 4 Ember Spirit. He's going to come back to a level 5 Huskar. So there's going to be one more really hard window for Quinn to get through here. Going for crit. Only a 1 second stun, but that's one. That is more than enough.
Yeah, a little out of position. Gives a freebie away. Doraccio will gladly collect that. And once more on this Chaos Knight that I feel like has been his best hero this event. I know he's been playing a lot of the Brood and some of these other like aggressive carries, but the CK feels like it scales really hard. He's willing to play it into counter picks. He doesn't care. It gives GAIMIN some extra lane shove and threat on the map, which I think is really valuable for players like Quinn who want to just, you know, run around, control the map, and slay people. This hero does a lot for GAIMIN. They get their hands on that Chen CK again, very strong.
Jakiro's going to get shot down by Tofu, so Sapphire does continue to have a winning presence in this off lane. Though, nobody can rotate to help out Quinn in this matchup. You know, the Huskar is being so aggressive, but GAIMIN Gladiators seemingly don't really have the best heroes to be able to do something about it. They're going to go for the kill on Chen here as Malrine cuts over. Give him a bit of mana, and he's got enough to be able to kill Celery. Crit is going to get low. Doraccio is making his way over. Is he fast enough to be able to spy the Hoodwink, pull him back in, and get the hit? One hit is not enough. He needs a second one. Crit turns around, hits him with the bushwhack, and now this is just a lot of downtime for Doraccio. Even if he gets this kill, which duck it away into the trees, he'll be able to find it eventually. But it is still a big loss of time in lane.
Yeah, this dire wave got half dragged to the small camp, half into the tower, and then he lost another one to the tower. That is a lot of missed CS. Feels probably worth it.
I mean, it'll be worth it just because of what happened at top in the meantime. They did kill Skeeter while it looks like Snake King was going for a pull. So
I don't think Falcons have played this lane too well, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, getting the first kill, you just bring the region out on Jakiro. I don't think GAIMIN were in a position to really get as many kills as they're getting on this lane. They had no earn charges on the Brew. Now all of a sudden you feed away one, you get earn charges, and then you take down the Sven. Now you got 2 more. Level 3 on the Cinder Brew. GAIMIN really recovered this lane nicely and have put this combo to work.
Certainly not taking advantage of, like, that's one of Jakiro's biggest things right now, right? With this Liquid Frost, it's a lane-winning support.
Yeah, exactly.
So much damage, but unfortunately, it has not managed to win this lane. It's about to get a little bit worse with the Chen rotating from behind. They're going to go for back-to-back kills onto Skeeter. Cookie sets it up, hits 2. They are both burning here. Skeeter turns around, throws out a 1 stun, but now he finds that Doraccio has made this rotation. The same rotation he made in last game as the Gyrocopter. Doraccio returns the favor in Game 3 for a double.
Man, that is a beautiful rotation. I mean, very similar to that game too. Like you said, Skeeter made that to kind of dodge the gank or the pressure in his lane, make the first move. Doraccio, I guess you watched the replay, makes it himself and scores a big hit here for GAIMIN as they get 2 kills and some tower pressure with his catapult. Exactly what Chen wants. They're going to be able to linger up here, so I don't even think you can really come back here if you're Falcons. And just a beautiful 2-man cookie really seals the deal. Yeah. This was the kind of Chen rotation I was looking for in that game 1 we just never saw. I'm not sure exactly what prevented it, but this is the type of snowball action you want. It's where Chen's really powerful.
Some of it's just got to be the fact that he would be rotating into an Enchantress, right? So part of it is you're coming with this creep, and then the Enchantress just takes it away from you. Like, okay, there's like 60% of your strength just gone.
I can't believe Snake King went back up here. This is just a dead tower. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to go back here. Even if Doraccio wasn't there, H just pops ult and solo kills you. There's more gold down the drains. Man, Snake King has had a rough early game this time around. With one of the stronger laning supports, as you mentioned, not a good sign because you're losing a lot of value out of this Jakiro pick.
Oh,
I don't think Dyrachyo wants to go back bottom either. Like,
yeah, no, he doesn't. And Celery probably doesn't want to either, but he's left a Harpy behind that is killing the creep wave. So Malrine, like, Primal Beast is okay at pressuring tower, but the biggest thing is just like killing out the creep wave and letting his own creeps go to work. But that has been denied by the Harpies. So that tower is still pretty healthy if GAIMIN Gladiators want to try and rotate back to it.
I mean, this is a lot of free time for the Malrine Primal, though. It is one concern if you're GAIMIN. Upside of these moves is you build a lot of momentum. Downside is Malrine gets to drag waves to these camps and just ultra farm.
True.
Amar is also ultra farming. He owned mid. No way around it. I think Quinn did honestly pretty well. Didn't give up the kill, played it safe, got his levels. He's in an okay position. I've definitely seen worse Ember Huskar lanes.
Yeah, considering how completely bully this matchup is. He's done all right. He's still the lowest net worth core of everybody in the game. But again,
he's almost level 8.
He's almost level 8. Has a power rune to work with as well. No phase boots though.
Honestly, this might be one of the better Ember performances I've seen versus Huskar. I don't know if Falcons are too happy with where these two heroes are at relative to each other. I think you want a little more domination out of that. Ideally, you want to be able to rotate into mid and take advantage of that Huskar level advantage too. Like, there were no ganks that went into the Ember at any point in this game. No tower pressure created there. The supports just played the side lanes. There was a decent amount of pressure from GAIMIN that made them stay there. That's a win in itself. And hey, now Quinn's hitting your tower.
Yeah, with a Chen army behind it, Falcons can really do very little to stop this. That's one thing that Snapfire really adds to this, right? He actually assists in the Chen pushes very nicely with the little shredder cutting down the armor.
And that Vessel already done means it's hard for ATF to join this fight.
They're going to TP in. Oh, a jump away to the Remnant. Instead, they get the grab onto Ace. Cookie trying to bail him out. Bushwhack gets off the Primal Split. So he's going to be okay. And we'll be able to just toss these heroes up in the air, though Falcons will hold the tower for now. So they got a Primal Split and kept the tower alive. Pretty good for them.
Yeah, especially when you don't have support ultis to throw into a fight like that. Macropyre and Sharpshooter would really threaten that Brewmaster burst a lot more. And yeah, Skeeter is just behind on the levels. That lane did not go his way. He's going to need some ancient stacking. Unfortunately, he's playing with ATF, and ATF does not give you any free ancients, so...
No, he doesn't.
But, I mean, ATF's very high level.
Yeah, him and Malrine, top 2. And Malrine's about to get some more gold on Tofu. Knocks him back down for that high ground. Nowhere to hide.
This is a big Primal Beast. Like, he has been... This is like an axe creep cut, you know? You're just farming everything plus extra down here. It's a ridiculous GPM to start this game for Malrine, and there's going to be a decent amount on his shoulders to do something with it, to enable these supports, create some play action around the map. Ideally, kill this Ember 1 or 2 times. If Quinn can just keep being annoying, play on aggressive spots, not get caught, it's going to be a nuisance for Falcons, because their lockdown is a little limited in terms of, you know, instant stunning this Ember. We're seeing that Blink come out for the Primal. It might be one of the reasons here. Then you have a Blink Pulverize, and then you can chain it up. Otherwise, how do you really start on the Ember in this type of game? A lot more difficult. First move's going to come from GAIMIN, though, and they're pushing towards that triangle that was stacked up massively last game. They scan it out.
Oh, they're going to smoke break on each other right on the corner. Seller drops to high ground. Ward spots it. Malrine spots him and gets the grab with a Macropyre that guarantees a fast kill on not just the Chen, but his army as well.
Power Rune is top.
And it's going to get grabbed by Dyrachyo with a shield rune and got the Phantasm +1 with the slight. And the kiss is raining in. This is looking pretty good. Amar does manage to push back these heroes, though. That last kiss is just enough. It looks like he tried to armlet toggle or something, but Tofu gets the kill off the burning fire on the ground. Now Malrine underneath the tier 2 is going to be slighted up again. He'll be killed. What a power room pickup for Dyrachyo, as his rotation allows GAIMIN Gladiators to get aggressive on Falcons, and they are going to take out 4 off of this move.
It's just an awkward exchange for Falcons. You don't have God Strength. You already used your Pulverize on the Chen earlier. You don't have like a BKB to kind of frontline for you in this fight. You just get run down. as Dyrachyo makes his first big team fight move in this game, and it's a good one. He is once more having a very strong game on this Chaos Knight. No real answers to him in the actual exchanges. Yeah, you get a good onslaught through, but there's no follow-up at this point. The Jakiro's dead. The Huskar ticks out to Vessel plus some Snapfire burn. Your Hoodwink has one shot, and you already used it. Just lingering too long around this mid lane for Falcons. A little indecisive in a way.
Yeah.
Like, normally this team makes a play, you go farm. You make a play, you go farm. That just felt like you're staying around mid for what? There's no tower push coming through. You can't take the true fight. Your carry's too far behind. This is all recovery time for this Ember Spirit. Your lane advantage is gone.
It certainly is. Malrine looks to continue to try and get these pickoffs. This time around, he may not have enough damage. The Hoodwink helps,
want to commit.
Malrine is afraid of committing, as there was 2 heroes in the neighborhood from GAIMIN Gladiators.
He did make the read that smoke was coming through. No Wisdom Rune contest this time. No smoke gank on Dyrachyo into an objective take. Oh, it is coming.
Well, yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, he
Not
will
at
not
the
get the
right
rune,
time,
but they might get him. And this is also dodging this play from GAIMIN. It's a nice map move from Falcons if they can land it. Should land it here.
Yeah, with the Blink Dagger, it feels like this should be guaranteed with Dyrachyo. Maybe he gets off his armlet, and that'll make him a bit tankier, especially with the Chen heal coming out, but he's definitely dead. Question is, will Falcons get out? Because the smoke is coming in from behind. They're going to lead in with the kisses. They do have Primal Split as well. This is a team fight winning combination. Falcons just need to try and extract as many heroes out of this as possible, but it looks like they're going to lose too, as Malrine has the Boulder chasing him down with a Fire Panda to boot. Tries to break through the trees, but it will be to no avail. So 1 for 2 exchange off of that little move. Quinn. Oh, he is out of mana here, in trouble, and killed by Amar. Finally dies to the Huskar.
That's a frustrating death for him because it's just on him. I mean, there's no way he dies there. He's doing the correct thing, which is wasting time mid, being annoying. Just a little misstep here. Cost the Ember his life just as he was recovering nicely in this game.
Yeah, just as he was about to finish up the Maelstrom, which then, will speed him along to the next round of items and help him catch up to everybody else. And now that's been delayed.
This is also extra gold towards ATF's BKB, which is going to be a pivotal point in this game in terms of Falcons trying to force the Roshan with the BKB timings. I'm surprised Quinn gave up this kill. It's one of those things where like you chains and then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, just flat out
actually dead.
Mana mismanagement.
I'm not even sure if he survives. He goes to that remnant. He is slowed up.
Yeah, he would have had to wait for the Huskar to hit him and then jump after
back-to-back deaths.
Yeah, this is...
Oh, I mean, his game just got way harder. And those are big XP kills. This was not some Ember that's like level 7, never had a laning phase. He's level 11 there. Falcons find the openings around this mid lane.
Quinn on tilt. Tofu drops the ward. Malrine, I think he saw... Yeah, they saw Tofu there for a second. We'll get the instant D ward. And now Falcons is back on pace to dominate. With the BKB complete for the Huskar, they're going to bulldoze down this mid tower and probably look to that objective you're talking about next, which is Roshan.
Man, this was such a nice 2 minutes for Falcons. It looked like it wasn't going to be that great with the smoke gank on top that was the rebuttal for the Chaos Knight, but back-to-back Ember kills into fresh Observer D-Ward, into Tier 1, into your BKB's done on Huskar so you can threaten Roche now. That is a sequence right there.
What if... Is it possible GAIMIN Gladiators could ever do Roshan?
100%. They have Snap minus armor, Chen Penitent, CK can give them the front line.
Is they have Pipe Primal Split, so they probably feel good about their team fight overall, and they obviously are holding the ground that Roshan set up on, and Celery seems to be there.
This is a good call. I think they should do it right now. Awkward part of the map for Falcons to get to.
They need to do it fast, because
it's pretty fast.
I imagine Falcons...
Maybe Falcons just weren't confident enough to contest this without the first frontline item on the Primal. You had a choice of Eternal Shroud or BKB. It'll be Eternal Shroud here for Malrine. But without that, he is a little susceptible to just being burst down.
Okay.
And this level 2 Brutalty plus pipe timing for Ace is same thing as last game. Very hard window to fight into. Especially when your Sven's behind. Like, Skeeter joining a fight is super hit or miss here. You're dispelling some of the armor buff right now. Somebody's going to get tossed. Like, maybe you get a good connection on one hero, you burst him down, but are you winning the rest of that fight when CK can come in? Probably not. just not a good enough early game for Falcons to take that first Roshan. It'll go to GAIMIN, exactly what you want with this Chen strat. Now you're back to the point of what can you do with this Aegis on the map.
You come through the gate here, not showing just yet. Crits. The pushes into this corner, does not end up running into the smoke of GAIMIN Gladiators, though. Net worth pretty even. The Ember Spirit is very, very poor, but a lot of is being made up right now by the fact that the Chen and Snapfire have a decent lead over their counterparts on the side of Falcons. Chen just farming jungle. A lot better than we saw in game one. Tofu having a poke here at Skeeter. Duracchio's going to come in and stop that TP. Skeeter is not going to be able to make it out of here. And Quinn coming in from behind to help get the hoodwink kill is a big bonus for him as he managed to get the last hit there. Get some much-needed golden experience for himself.
GAIMIN got to keep abusing the fact they have some better lane shove right now. Can play the map a lot better. Join fights with everybody. I mean, ATF, he's going to wave him goodbye, but damage is done. That mid-wave hits the tier 2 while you're hitting bottom with the brew, so...
What is this 4 stack of wards that the Falcons have all along the mid lane?
It's a little overcommitted. I mean, unless you can, like, smoke to this triangle and use them, you're not getting too much value out of it. It's a lot of vision that not doing a lot for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I assume a big part of this was just trying to hunt down the Ember Spirit, like let Maureen get his blink grab on the Ember. And
they did get it twice.
Yeah.
But now the group up is here, and this is where you're a little weak right now. I don't think you have enough punch to get through this pipe in the true 5-man with the Chen unless you can get on the Chen to start.
Oh, but if they can pick off the Ember Spirit, they take that every single time. They've got him again. The slight, he's got some burn damage on him, though, and I think he kicks out, and he does.
Another
Skeeter
huge find.
Sits up on the high ground, catches Tofu. Tofu not going to be caught by that bushwhack, but Maureen and Skeeter are looking still to run this one down. But they have Duracchio with the Phantasm and the Primal Split ready to go. This is a fight GAIMIN Gladiators are willing to take. Tofu, protected by his cores, now fires back at Skeeter with the kisses raining in. With the stone thrown at him, Skeeter, he has the full globs of fire that'll bring him down. Amar wisely pops his BKB and TP's out. A team fight that even after a pickoff on the Ember Spirit, almost a kill on the Snapfire, goes to show what you're saying. GAIMIN Gladiators, their ball is just too strong right now.
Overextension by Maureen. Just goes in a little too deep. Duracchio had really nice positioning, gets the silence on him, and they chain stun it up with a Centaur from Celery. Some really nice team play to just bring this Primal Beast down and punish the fact that Maureen did not go for the BKB. He went for the Eternal Shroud. This will scale better in like the 5-6 slot situation as the game progresses, but right now you're way more susceptible to the few disables that GAIMIN have, that they were able to throw them all on him. He just got nothing off that fight.
Yeah, you're reaching into what a Duracchio's like. We've seen so much Duracchio Chaos Knight, and this Orchid window, I feel like he's so devastating with it. You know, he's such an active carry that getting a second item Orchid, I feel like he just always gets like a pretty big lead for GAIMIN Gladiators in this like 20 to 25 minute window. As you can see, GAIMIN Gladiators
don't lie
very well with the hero.
This has been their best hero of the tournament.
Yeah.
So Halberd for ATF. I mean, there's one concern here, which is I felt like game 2 was really nice because you had that scale going for you. This game, I feel like Falcons are outscaling you at a certain point.
Yes.
Which means you want to keep snowballing this game. These kind of pickoffs are really important. You want to keep building the lead, making sure you're in a stronger and stronger position to keep getting and snowballing off the Roshans. Because you want to be up 15k, 20k, and going high ground in this game. You don't want to be up 3 or 4k against 3 cores who are all going to scale into some pretty formidable late game beasts here. Particularly this Primal. We've seen a lot of teams struggle with the late game Primal Beast in terms of how do you bring this hero down.
Yeah. They have like small little things that will help general mobility. I think they also have the Dispel of the Storm Panda, which is pretty helpful. When you pop the Uproar, you can get rid of the armor charges.
But how much can you rely on the Pandas this game against a Sven and a Primal who can both kind of cut through those?
That's true. They have
most
really
points
good
of the game.
AoE clear in that regard.
And it's another problem for the CK. Like if these two cores are strong and then you have some of the AoE from the Huskar, it's...
Oh, blink the wrong direction. Gonna have to charge his way to the Chen army. They've got Dyrachyo in a pretty good spot. The Viper going out trying to stop this one. Dyrachyo maybe is too strong, though. They have to grab him with a pulverize to stop some of this. Amar goes in, trying to finish him off, but this Chaos Knight is just not dying easy. With a pipe and a Crimson Guard, it all goes wrong as they all in for the Chaos Knight, and they fail to get the kill. And now they'll pay the price for it as 3 members going to get run down. With the Hoodwink nowhere to run to, a 4th member added to the pile. A triple kill for Quinn as well as he jumps right up there in the network chart, almost catching up back to Amar's Huskar.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm pretty sure Maureen wishes he went BKB this game because this Eternal Shroud, it has just not done the job. He took 1,500 damage from Mortimer Kisses there. Like, yeah, you're negating a lot of it, but they're also just able to pour in all the magical damage, and that's most of their damage at this point in the game. And Orchid's going to give you a nice pop on top of that.
Particularly if you are convinced that your scale is better, I feel like BKB would make sure you weather through this timing.
Exactly.
That GAIMIN Gladiators are so strong at better.
Man, the lack of BKBs on all the cores has really hurt him in these fights. I mean, Skeeter also just tanked everything there as all 3 cores were clumped up. Even if you get the CK, you're losing that fight.
Yeah, Mar's the only one sitting there with a BKB every single time able to get out of fights. But keeps on losing his other 2 cores in these engagements, and this time he's not going to be able to make it out. BKB still on cooldown. The highest farmed hero of Falcons goes down.
Falcons starting to crumble a little bit in this game against the Chen CK strat. It's a very similar lineup. You have the Brew in there as well, and they're hitting this mid-game aura timing. Don't have damage for this Bite Crimson.
True to GAIMIN Gladiator style. When they know they're strong, when they know they can hit high ground, there is very little hesitation to it. Dive into tier 4 on the Jakiro, and they'll go back to taking that tier 3 now.
I mean, this is not a question of what you're getting, if you're getting something here. It's a question of how much are you getting. And the nice thing is Ember, Quinn has just been cutting all these waves, making sure the map is favorable for them while these pushes happen, so they're not losing out on anything.
Falcons do the same thing, though. They also cut the creep waves. Backdoor protection goes back up, sparing them a lot, but that one creep, Quinn managed to chase Tofu away, and off of 100 HP creep, they will be able to finally finish that tier 3 and take the lane of barracks at bottom.
I don't think you can fight this anyway. You need BKB Sven at least. Probably another item on each of these cores. This backdoor should come up here. So I don't think GAIMIN are getting much more out of this, but they should be very happy with that. Got 2 deep observer wards out. Likely one of those is going to live for a long time here. Give you really good information to play off of. Snaking over at 1. I don't think he's going to get this other one, though.
Yeah, that lane ward. Very unlikely. Crit drops a ward of his own, TP's out before he is sandwiched between Tofu and Dyrachyo.
So some more deep vision from Crit. I mean, if you're Falcons, you got to just stall this game. You got to push lanes out as much as you can, particularly the 2 side lanes, so you force GAIMIN to split up right now. Did get to the BKB on the Sven. That's part of the puzzle, but not all of it right now, and you are still just outmatched in terms of the tank ability. This is the problem going up against these Chen lineups. At this point in the game, they are absolutely terrifying because there's not a lot of heroes that give you the damage output necessary to deal with them. You know, something like Timbersaw for sure, but you're not getting your hands on that here. A lot of heavy lifting for Maureen to accomplish right now, and he's 900 off an Ags. He wishes he were closer.
He doesn't even feel confident enough to complete that onslaught to bump into Ace. He's so scared about what's coming their way. But if he doesn't do something to stop it, to slow it down, it's going to be 2 lanes of barracks before we even hit the 30-minute marker.
Well, you got to get out on the map right now if you're Maureen. You need this Axe to fight. He sold some, I think he sold Wand plus something else to try and get it here. Lowering his net worth by around, 400 to try and finish this Axe at a pivotal point in this game and GAIMIN back off. I mean, some extra economic damage done.
They probably should back off, right? You don't want to throw into this high ground and give Falcons the opportunity to take Roche on for themselves. So, second Roche time.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not just beelining Roche right now.
Yes.
You got them in their base. That's what you wanted here. Second Rax does not win you this game. Second Roshan probably does.
Much bigger objective, which Falcons know they have to contest. So, a 4-man smoke behind Snake King.
You have Primal Ags. You have The Sven BKB, that's what you're going to have to make something happen with right now.
They're pushing through mid to see if there's maybe any like Ember Spirit who's going to linger and try and cut one more wave. There's also a 8-minute power rune, which might spawn.
I think you have to find Chen here. I don't think you can just go on one of these random frontline targets. You don't have the damage.
I mean, if they catch Snapfire, that is a really good target to start on.
Well, that's a BKB on the courier.
Oh, the BKB is going to arrive just in time.
They're just going to jump the pit.
They're going to go in. Maureen, quick onslaught, on through. Roshan, a bit low. How do they fight this one out?
He can't get anything off.
They're really not getting anything off whatsoever. It's just going to be Maureen dead. Now Skeeter with the rest of his God Strength. It's just bail. He's just hoping he has the damage to finish off Roshan. It's not even close. Meanwhile, Amar's going for the kill on the Brewmaster. This guy's going to get off his ultimate. Actually, a little bit low on mana. They just call it. It's done. They're out. Falcons know they can't beat GAIMIN Gladiators whenever